welcome everybody to Kirkistown in Northern Ireland, where the Avon Tyres National Formula Ford 1600 Championship is enjoying its annual holiday and enjoying the Irish hospitality as well. We're getting down to the pinch point of the season now. Jonathan Brown has the pole position, but it's Ross Martin who leads the way in the championship standings as we get into the final few meetings of the season. It's a varied grid towards the sharp end. We're also welcoming back Michael Eastwell, who I think we can have a quick chat with now as the cars are lined up in the assembly area ahead of our first of 3 races here this weekend. Michael, welcome back to the championship. Great to have you here. This isn't a bad one to come back to, is it? The racing's always really good around here.
Oh, it's great to be here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really looking forward to this weekend. We've gone pretty well in testing. The track's been changing a little bit, so 6th on the grid, but hoping to move forward from there.
The times are all really close in qualifying as well, and the racing around here with the slipstream is often fairly intense, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets pretty close around here. You'll see a lot of overtaking into the last corner, a lot of fighting. It always makes for great racing around here, so looking forward to it.
How conscious are you of the fact that there's a championship battle being fought around you as well here?
I mean, obviously I'm not a part of that, and I don't want to get in the way of anyone, but at the same time I'm here racing and looking to get the best result for myself and the team. So I just have to do my own thing and go out there and do the best for us.
Good stuff. Well, best of luck for the race.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, it's set to be a fascinating first race of the weekend here at Kirkistown. Over to Scott to talk you through it.
Thanks, Andy. Here come the cars onto the grid for race 1 here at Kirkistown, and rather overcast skies. Jonathan Brown on pole alongside a surprised second place with William Heron, the local favourites. Then Rory Smith and Ivan McCullough from Ross Martin and Michael Eastwell. Welcome back to the championship. Then Spike Colbecker and James Clark, Jamie Thorburn and Michael McPherson. Jamie Sharp and John Svensson, who races for Cliff Dempsey this weekend, on row 6 from Morgan Quinn, Alan Davidson and Alan McBurney, 2 more local favourites at the back of the grid. So back at Kirkistown, it's always a place that delivers great racing. Is this year going to be the same? Red lights up for race 1. We're underway here in Northern Ireland, and it's a clean start from everyone from the first few rows. Good to see no one stalling or getting a slow start as Michael McPherson sees his way blocked by cars going 3 abreast into Debtors Dip for the first time. There is John Svensson on the inside line. And as they come into Colonial for the first time, it is Jonathan Brown who leads. McCullough's up to second place after a good start from the second row. This is the view from James Clark. He's now got both Rory Smith and also Michael Eastwell to his right. And just behind him is this man, Spike Colbecker. His first visit to Kirkistown. Maybe struggled a bit in qualifying, but I'm sure as the weekend goes on, he'll get a little bit quicker. So out of Fisherman's, down the short straight, and then you come to this fantastically fast chicane with these large curves that you ride all over. And here is Ross Martin, championship leader. He needs to score some more vital points to maintain that advantage at the top of the standings to try and take the championship, hopefully, to the next couple of rounds at Silverstone, and then the finale at Brands Hatch in September. This is James Clark as he goes to make a move on the cars in front. The big lock-up from Jonathan Brown in the lead into the hairpin, with McCullough still in second place as they head out on the right-hander, but pulling alongside for third place is William Heron. Started on the front row, but now he's going wheel to wheel with Rory Smith, and because they come down the pit straight, it's kicking off already. They're going side by side, both for 4th and further back in the pack. This is James Clark in the slipstream through Debtors Dip, the very fast, flat-out right-hander, and down into the hairpin for the second time at Colonials. It's a double apex right-hander. Jonathan Brown still leads. James Clark runs wide, and he allows Michael Eastwell to slip through, as Ross Martin also continues on, now up to 4th position. So James Clark has lost a couple of spots in the shuffle, and now he's got to work hard to try and get it back. So on the second lap, down the short straight out of Fisherman's, Ivan McCullough is someone who knows this place like the back of his hand, as does that man number 4, William Heron. You see some of the local favourites performing well against some of the established national runners. As they come down the back straight, Ross Martin, as everyone weaves to break the toe, charging to the inside line. And they head down towards the breakers at the hairpin. Here comes Rory Smith down the inside of not 1 car but 2. He locks up, avoids contact, but gets up the inside of Ivan McCullough, and it may have worked. He goes up the inside of Jonathan Brown, and he may have the lead down the pit straight, down towards Debtors Dip for the 3rd time. Side by side for the lead, down towards the left-hander. It is Smith on the outside. We're on board with him now. That on the left-hand side is Jonathan Brown, and despite Smith's best efforts, he can't get through. He has to capitulate and slots back in behind Rory Smith. Into the right-hander at Colonials. Smith in second place. Oh, contact! William Heron touches Ivan McCullough. Round goes to 27. And to McCullough's disgust, he's got damage on the right-hand side pod. That may be his race over. Otherwise, his engine might start to overheat. So a rather over-eager William Heron. That's put him down a couple of spots as a result. He's down to about 8th or 9th place now, so got some work to do. The white car there, number 6, that's another local favourite, Alan Davison. And Davidson was a star last year, if you remember, in one of the oldest cars on the grid, the Mondial chassis, from around 1989, that car, so certainly making the most of an older car against more contemporary machinery. As the national regulars head back down to the hairpin, still Smith in the lead. More battles going on, another lock up there from James Clark into the hairpin as they turn their way out, so Smith still leads. Still Brown in second place. Whoops, that's Alan Davidson. I think I talked him up too soon because out of the race he goes. So this is the replay of Heron just diving up the inside. There's a fairly hefty whack that McCullough took, and McCullough just waves at Heron saying, what on earth was that all about? And I think the stewards might want to word with William after that one. I'm sure Ivor will too. So McPherson now having a battle with the recovering William Heron. There he is. And they're both stuck behind James Clark, who's slipped back a few spots as they turn their way out of Colonial and now down the short straight towards Fisherman. And there see William Heron diving up the inside of the Cliff Dempsey car in front as he looks to make up another spot. So they turn their way into the chicane once more. So Smith leads it then. Brown in second place as he rocks over the curbs of the chicane. And now onto that back straight, and watch them. They'll all squeeze to the inside line to try and get the shortest possible run down the pit straight, but also to try and break the toe. And to get the racing line for the braking point into the hairpin, they'll move back to driver's left, try and get themselves the optimal entry into the corner. This is Michael McPherson back on board as he closes in underneath one of the Cliff Dempsey cars. That might even actually be possibly John Svensson, the 73, as they come out of the right-hander. John Svensson, who's a regular clubman driver, but this weekend is taking up one of Cliff Dempsey's cars to try and maintain his advantage in the clubman standings. So now into Colonial once again. Smith under pressure from Jonathan Brown. Still Eastwell in third place. This man Jonathan Brown trying to take his second win of the season, as is Rory Smith. Brown had a victory at Alton Park, whereas Rory Smith's first win of the season, and all the way back at the very first race of the year under sunny conditions back in April at Snetterton, the very first race of 2019. And since then he's had quite a few ups and downs, quite a bit of bad luck in terms of incidents and reliability problems. Ross Martin, though, is the man that leads the championship, and he's hunting down James Clark. Here he comes to the outside. He's got the optimal racing line. Clark makes his car as wide as possible by sticking to the inside on the sprint down towards the hairpin. They're going to be side by side under braking. Jamie Thorburn watches on in the Border Reivers car behind in sixth position. Eastwell, meanwhile, in front is trying to get the undercut, exiting the hairpin to try and pull alongside Jonathan Brown. Martin gets squeezed onto the grass, puts two wheels over the curb on the pit straight, and now he's physically pushing James Clark. He's giving a bump draft. I'm sure James is thinking, what on earth are you doing? But that has been a tactic we've seen more than once here in Formula Ford, so it's not an unfamiliar way to possibly try and charge after the cars in front. But have to be careful he doesn't do that too much, otherwise it might attract the eye of the stewards. So Jonathan Brown then looking for another way up the inside, possibly to sneak past Rory Smith, but he can't get through as they turn back through Fisherman's. And watch for Michael Eastwell, his first race back in the championship. Now we should point out, yes, he's won at Northern level, he's also won in the Champion of Brand Series, and he's also competed in the Festival and the Walter Hayes. One thing he hasn't ever achieved though in this championship, he has never won a national race outright. So we have two drivers here who have won a race so far. The man in third hasn't won one, but is on his first race back, so could he possibly spring a surprise? Into the hairpin they come, all the way through the right-hander. Eastwood again takes the wide approach, looking for the undercut to try and get back past Jonathan Brown. Meanwhile, James Clark remains ahead of Ross Martin, and the pair of them being hunted down by Jamie Thorburn. And Jamie hasn't scored a podium this season either, and if he did, it would be his first for the Border Reivers team. And Ross Martin looks to the inside, but he's not far enough along to try and get himself into fourth position at the expense of James Clark. And there is Jamie Thorburn, the 50 car, running well in sixth position. He did well the last couple of years. He's won here before in Kirkistown. Here he is. As we say, the new Border Reivers squad, which is his own team which he's been running with. It used to be a car that ran with Cliff Dempsey, but he's since branched out onto his own. It's been an up and down year with some little teething troubles, but Jamie's managed to get a little bit quicker, understanding the car on his own, and certainly making more progress. It's good to see him up towards the front of the circuit that, as we say, he has won at before, so he certainly knows his way around here in terms of picking up a victory. Comes Ross Martin back in fifth, charging back underneath James Clark. Again to the outside line goes Jonathan Brown, taking the wide approach into the hairpin to swing past Rory Smith on the exit. And again the same applied for Ross Martin. Here he comes on the inside line. We'll put him on the outside for Debtor's Dip. He's on James Clark's right. You can't see him as they come down the pit straight. There he is. And now we're on board with the Scotsman. When you go around the outside, it's a flat out left-handed kink at Debtor's Dip, but he's not confident enough to get through. To come back down towards the double right-hander at Colonial. Under brakes, they all close up once again. And this second group of three are almost starting to catch the leading group because if they keep scrapping amongst each other. And moves like this keep on happening, with Jonathan Brown trying to dart up the inside of race leader Rory Smith, it's only going to bring those 3 cars into contention, and before you know it, we have a 6-car scrap for the lead, which is exactly what you see in Formula Ford on many an occasion. Through the chicane, riding over the curbs, and now that second group is starting to edge closer and closer to the top 3. Ross Martin, under rather bright but still cloudy skies, continues to charge after the leaders. So Smith again takes the wide line on the racing approach. Eastwell down the outside, and look at James Clark. He closes back in under braking, but has he got the punch off the corner to stay with the top 3? Answer is not quite. Eastwell and co have got better traction, and now James Clark has to watch in front of him to see the 3 cars in front try and pull away, but at the same time keep an eye on Ross Martin and co behind. There's Jonathan Brown with a great run off of Debtor's Dip. Which way is he going to go? Looking to the inside for the leader, Rory Smith into Colonials now. Once again, they're going to try and make the move, and there's contact. Rory Smith, I think there's damage to the front right. There was contact there with Jonathan Brown. He went way too deep into the corner, and now as a result of that, he's dropped to 4th position. So what could have been the lead could even be 5th position if he's not careful, because down another spot he goes to Jamie Thorburn. So through all of that, now it's Michael Eastwell who leads. James Clark is up to 2nd place. Ross Martin is now 3rd, Jamie Thorburn 4th, and Jonathan Brown, who could have been in the lead if it hadn't been for that contact, he's down to 5th position with a lot of work to do. So down the back straight towards the hairpin, back underneath the slipstream, and they're all again weaving to break the toe. Eastwell now will be the pioneer into the hairpin. Clark will try and go with him in 2nd place, closes back up, and again he will look for that undercut on the exit, but his traction isn't strong enough compared to Eastwell. We saw that a lap ago. Further down the order, more battles going on. That's Jamie Sharp, Morgan Quinn, and the recovering William Heron. Scrapping over the bottom places in the top 10. This is James Clark now. It's his turn to start to close in on Michael Eastwell. Gets a good toe on the run down towards Colonial. Takes the wide approach. Looks for the switchback. And further back, this is the battle between Jamie Sharp on the right, in the red car with the white nose, the recovering William Heron, and Morgan Quinn. 2 Team Dolan cars battling the local favourite as James Clark now looks for the switchback exiting Fisherman's. They both take plenty of curb on the exit, and they carry on the run towards the chicane. So Eastwell, on his first race back in the championship, leads the way. Oh, goodness me! William Heron straight into the back of Jamie Sharp, I think that was. William Heron hopefully is okay. That was a rather nasty accident. And goodness me, William Heron is moving in the cockpit asking for a tow, I think. As he comes down towards it, there's more contact in the hairpin. James Clark gets hit by Ross Martin, I think. Round goes to 77. So all action on this lap with not 1 accident, but 2. So James Clark gets going again. This is a couple of laps ago where it all started. So Jonathan Brown goes diving up the inside, makes contact. He went too deep into Colonial, and he tags the right front of Rory Smith. Off goes the 45. And that, all it takes was a little tap there as they come in. This is Rory Smith's view. Bang, there it is. It just sets the right front out of kilter. Probably breaks the steering arm on that. And he's out of the race. This is Brown's view. Now he's diving up the inside. At this point, he must know he's gone in too deep. He felt a bit of a nudge there on the left rear as he made contact. And as the race he goes. Now, this is William Heron. Now, he taps the rear of Jamie Sharp. Did that cause a problem? I'm not sure. Oh, goodness me. That's the contact result. And I think it was, as a result of the contact, a right rear puncture. That sends Heron straight up into the air. And this is the incident with James Clark. Down towards the hairpin he goes. Oh, and there's the touch. Gets tagged in the rear, and I think it was Ross Martin that touched him up at the hairpin. Here's the replay, and I think it is. So down the back straight towards the braking zone. Now what happens? Does he simply clip him? Or what happens here under brakes? Oh, that's a bit of uncareful bump drafting. I think it was a little too high speed. And unfortunately, that's what set James Clark around. So because of those 2 incidents, it really has changed the complexion of the race yet again. So Michael Eastwell still leads. It's now Ross Martin in 2nd place. Jonathan Brown is back into 3rd after all of that shenanigans. And behind him also, Jamie Thorburn's up to 4th. So we've taken 2 of our front-running 6 cars out of the race now. Robbie Smith, his car I just saw a glimpse of parked to the side on the exit of Colonials. And James Clark isn't out of the race, but he's further back down the order. So plenty of work still to do to get him back up through the field in what's left of this race, which is still a 3rd to go here in this first race at Kirkistown. It's been plenty of action. There's double wave yellows in the background, I suspect, for the team that will be recovering William Heron's car after that rather frightful looking accident. Hopefully William is okay. He was gesticulating in the cockpit. Whether it was a friendly gesture or not, we'll leave you to decide. Here's Jamie Thorburn then, battling away with Jonathan Brown for 3rd place. And the 2 race chassis scrapping amongst each other, but of course all it's going to do is leave both these 2 drivers, Eastwell and Martin, battling amongst each other, and Martin looks to the outside into Colonial. but there's no way through just yet. There is Smith's car off to the left-hand side. And they head down towards Fisherman's once again back under brakes. Eastwell's got a small gap. Martin carries a bit more momentum through the apex of Fisherman. Uses all the curb on the exit. Now back to the chicane. Remember, there's double waved yellows down here, so you cannot overtake because they'll be recovering William Heron's car after the incident he had a couple of laps ago. And now on the sprint towards the hairpin once again. Brown now with a small toe on the car in front of Ross Martin. But Martin will be getting his slipstream from Michael Eastwell. Back under brakes they go. And also just behind him, it looks as though, back in 5th position, although a rather distant 5th, is Spike Colbecker. There he is at the back of the shot, car number 5. It's his first visit to Northern Ireland in Kirkistown, possibly struggling a bit on a circuit that is rather unfamiliar. Now Ross Martin weaving this way and that, trying to keep the car stable through Detter's dip. As he goes to the outside, wiggles his way to the outside line, the racing lines to hit the wide approach into Colonial. Still no way through. Eastwell keeps his car in the middle of the road and stays in front. How great would it be if Michael Eastwell on his comeback weekend here with National Formula Fords at, of all places, Kirkistown, could pick up a victory on his first race back? Well, let's keep on watching. There's the double wave yellow still for the recovery of Heron's car, so they can't overtake through here. So Martin, all he can do is set him up for a move on the run down the back straight towards the hairpin. Here's Jonathan Brown. He's not totally out of it either. He made that contact with Robbie Smith earlier on, but he's back in the top 3 places. He's got the top 2 in front who are going side by side on the approach down towards the hairpin, and it will be a pretty gutsy move if he can get through. Here comes Jonathan Brown sneaking up the inside for 2nd place, trying to make it work and trying to put Ross Martin off. Hasn't quite worked, but he's up there in the leading group now. Down the back straight, onto the pit straight, out of the hairpin, and they're still all together. So the top 5 flash of the shot as one, and Ross Martin again is doing a bit of cheeky bump draft in there. I think after the contact with James Clark, I would have thought he might have put a halt to that, and down the outside from nowhere goes Jonathan Brown. Can he make it stick for 2nd place? Martin fights back on the exit. Jonathan Brown takes to the grass but loses momentum, and back up the inside into 2nd place goes Ross Martin. You can't fault Jonathan Brown's commitment. That was a gutsy move down the outside, but the fact that he had to take to the grass shows he carried a bit too much speed through the apex. He held on as long as he could but couldn't make it stick. So up to the chicane again. There goes Jamie Thorburn in 4th place. Spike Colbeck is not too far away in 5th. So the top 5 are all together, and once more they tuck to the inside to try and hold on to the draft as best as possible. They can overtake into the hairpin because the green flags mean that that zone is clear, and Martin again is going to see the signal. Down the outside he goes into the hairpin. Can he get the undercut? Eastwell edges him out to the edge of the track and shows him the door. So that seems to be Eastwell once again holding on nicely. He may not have raced for several months, but his racecraft is certainly isn't rusty, and he is putting on a fantastic display against all 4 of these guys that have raced pretty much the entire season so far. They're completely race ready, but Eastwell hasn't forgotten. There's a big sideways moment for Ross Martin. Brown again goes for the outside for the 2nd time. Side by side once again with Ross Martin. Brown again puts 2 wheels onto the curb, across the grass, and again for the 2nd time he has to capitulate and allow Martin to continue in 2nd place. But Martin was very lucky not to lose it completely, because under braking he had a massive tank slapper on. He's doing it again, weaving this way and that. I think that might be frustration, either because he can't get past Eastwell or possibly because of Brown's antics trying to distract him. Either way, I think the championship leader is a little bit rattled, either that or a little bit too racy to try and get past the leader. They head back down to the hairpin once again. There's not long left in this race. There goes Thorburn to the outside, and also Jonathan Brown goes to the outside for 2nd place. He's going to try and make it stick around the outside of the championship leader. Here comes Jamie Thorburn on the exit. Oh, Jonathan Brown puts 2 wheels onto the grass, losing momentum, and here comes Spike Colbecker to possibly get past him for 4th position. Down the pit straight, the 2 Cliff Dempsey cars going to combat for 4th place. And Ross Martin is back on the gearbox of Michael Eastwell. Here he comes to the outside line. They are side by side again down towards Colonial. Eastwell holds the inside line. Martin thinks about going round the outside, but he can't make it stick. And now Thorburn's in the mix. This is a fantastic battle all the way through to the end of the race, weaving this way and that, but still Martin can't get through. Through Fisherman, I think we're possibly on the 2nd to last lap here, not long to go in this first race of the weekend here at Kirkistown for the National Formula Fords. There is still double wave yellows down the chicane, so no overtaking, but the top 5 are all together. This is Jonathan Brown's view. Now, I think it looks to me he's behind Jamie Thorburn. He is, because that's Thorburn going to the outside to try and put Ross Martin under pressure. And again, the quintet charging towards the hairpin. Eastwell leads. Thorburn back down the outside. He comes back to the inside line for 3rd to try and reclaim the pace. Is Jonathan Brown. Colbeck is in there too. and the sprint to the checkered flag is going to be all crucial, side by side to the line. And welcome back to National Formula Fords after a cracking race. Michael Eastwell wins on his National Formula Ford comeback after an incredible race. Rory Smith looks dejected, but a very happy Michael Eastwell takes the victory. Ross Martin in second place, Jonathan Brown gets third, Jamie Thorburn fourth, and Colbeck at fifth. Then Clark, Quinn, McPherson, Svensson in ninth, for Alan McBurney from the back of the grid gets 10th. There's the retirees. And all I can say is, wow, one incredible race at Kirkistown, and there's still 2 more left to go. Incredible.
Well, Michael, we predicted that was going to be an intense race, and it certainly was. You came out on top, though, but as ever here at Kirkiston, it all goes down to the last corner, doesn't it?
Certainly threw in a surprise. Yeah, it's just hitting. It's my first national win. I've been racing the nationals for a couple of years now, but I've just needed to go away and come back for a bit, I guess. So no, that's an amazing feeling. So just want to say a massive thank you to the Kevin Mills racing team, my mum and dad, my beautiful girlfriend, and all my friends and family that have supported me back today. And yeah, what a race. It was chaotic. It was kind of about choosing the do or die moves, and it just kind of unfolded a lot of it in front of me, and I just kind of bid my time and managed to hold on to the intense pressure at the end. So yeah, it'll slowly sink in, but no, really great race.
Well, Ross, congratulations, second place finish, valuable points, which I suppose is the main thing to take out of that race, and what a race it was.
Oh, hectic. Yeah, I had a good start, and again, starting fifth, I was right in the middle of it all, but yeah, very close race. I mean, the local Irish guys are fast, you know, but they're hard, and they're fair though, but yeah, that racing was, I wasn't wanting to get involved, but you have to, because you know, you get guys behind you pushing as well, but yeah, I was just trying to keep my nose out of damage, but you can't help yourself, but you know, get underneath cars' gearboxes, but yeah, coming home finishing second strong, but if the race is like that tomorrow, I'm not going to enjoy it again. You know, I want to be finishing races, and you know, so do the other guys in championship contention. But yeah, it wasn't a nice race for me.
Well, Jonathan, you've had some hard-fought podiums in the past. That's got to be up there, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, a bit good not to win it because we definitely have the speed on everyone. But well, I think so. And yeah, just hard racing. You know, I went for the lead and didn't quite. Well, you know, just didn't work out. And then I lost a number of spots. And then I had to try getting back, and then I was trying to go for second, and then that didn't work out. So you know, to come home third in a race like that is not too bad.